everyone, and welcome to the Geek Remix Life is Strange Before the Storm Spoilercast. My name is Stacy.
And my name is Mari.
Mari's very sick right now.
Well,
This is why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah, well, I had some sort of mega flu from an alien planet or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stacy has a theory that I got chlamydia in my lungs.
From inhaling jizz.
From inhaling jizz. I don't have chlamydia in my lungs.
That's not a thing.
It's not a real thing. We were joking because the medicine they gave me for my bronchitis was also medicine you get for chlamydia. And so we were like, maybe somebody with chlamydia jacked off into my humidifier and I breathed in the chlamydia and I had an extreme case of chlamydia in my lungs.
Yeah, but they just didn't want to, they didn't want to worry you.
Yeah.
So
they're probably like, I went into the doctor and they're like, we've never seen
anything like, don't tell her. Tell her it's bronchitis.
They're just so uncomfortable, wondering what I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of sick shit this lady's into.
So, if you want to get started, I think, I have a couple...
Wait, I want everyone to know that I was just like Satine from Moulin Rouge coughing up blood. It was exactly the same. It was It was just as romantic.
Consumption.
I had consumption. It wasn't just me hacking over a sink coughing up blood. It was like Satine, delicately.
With a little hanky.
Like a little hanky, just delicately coughing into it.
See, and the thing is that when she coughs, she's like,
and then she goes off and sings. So that's basically what happened to me. It was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Don't imagine me coughing over a sink, hacking up brown and blood. Imagine Satine.
Well, when people's organs are basically liquefying on the inside, that's how they cough.
I'm Satine. People love me. That's exactly what happened. I had consumption.
We're both very sick right now, so apologies ahead of time. But we're just trying to get stuff. I know.
We're trying to get you the content that you support.
Yeah. Well. And I also feel like a lot of people were kind of wondering what our final thoughts were on Before the Storm because...
And
if you don't know this, our last video, when we're recording the last part, we're like sitting through the credits and all of a sudden Mari's computer flickers and we thought the power went out and we were both like, oh my fucking God, we just lost like 2 hours of footage. So we both start freaking out.
And we got like our genuine reactions lost and everything.
Yeah. So...
And that was the first day I was getting the flu. It was horrible. You're lucky you got out of there.
Yeah.
You got out of there without chlamydia in your lungs.
Well, you tried to invite me over after that. You were like, hey, like, come over and do this. I was like, no.
Listen, Stacy, I may have just been puking up everything I had eaten.
Yeah. And
had consumption.
Do you remember that? You were like, Stacy, I puked 5 times last night. And I was like, I'm not coming over.
Yeah, and then the next day, I thought it was okay, and I only drink liquids. And in the shower, it all came out. Thankfully, it was all liquids. I'm really glad that people think I'm an attractive person. It's really weird because a lot of the comments we got were people like, I think Mari's sick voice is very sexy. And I was like, y'all are weird.
That's kind of fucked up.
It's kind of weird and fucked up.
It's like, wow, you feel incredibly awful, but at least you sound sexy.
I think they like it because I'm weak and they need to take care of me. No, that's why people thought consumption was sexy.
It's the wasting disease. It's also because people get very thin.
No, but in the 1800s, consumption was considered a virtuous disease that happened to people who were virtuous. And it made you pale and sickly looking and you died very slowly. So people thought it was the sexy disease.
Yeah,
They loved it. And people would put makeup on to make it look like they also had consumption because it was so in to be dying.
I mean, that kind of reminds me of heroin chic in the 90s.
Yeah. People are fucked up. Anyway, Life is Strange.
Anyways, on to Life is Strange. Okay, so I have a couple topics to get us started, and then I also have some viewer questions. So, first topic, we'll just start out with which one do you prefer? The original or Before the Storm?
I think they both have their own type of magic. I think Before the Storm is a lot more willing to engage in, and this is for a perfectly good reason, because in the original season 1, Chloe was still in love with Rachel, so it makes sense for you to wait a little bit longer before you initiate
like a romantic
relationship with her. And like when I was playing the first one, like I could tell that Chloe was still really in love with Rachel.
Which is funny because everyone was like freaking out about them not starting a relationship, and it's like, guys, it's been in game. It's been 2 days.
And also, we're looking for her girlfriend,
her dead girlfriend,
her dead girlfriend, like straight up her dead girlfriend that she said she was in love with. Like she said the word love. So in my mind, Chloe was already in a lesbian relationship in the original Life is Strange. And then, like, you know, you find her dead body, and I guess you're like, well, she's dead now, so I guess we can be together. Hey there, girl. So now that we found your girlfriend's dead body, can I get in that? No, I'm just kidding. But the original Life is Strange had a lot more magic and mysteries and stuff, which I liked. And then Before the Storm had a lot more focus on individual human human connections, and I like that. It's so they're both beautiful in their own way, and I don't think I like one more than the other. I think they're just beautiful in their own unique ways.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change in either of them in any way.
Yeah, I feel like they're really different types of games, because although they both focus on relationships, the original game, like, there is a quote-unquote clear objective. Like, there is something that you're trying to accomplish in that game. And, you know, through the use of time travel and through puzzles, you know, you're trying to find Rachel. That's, like, the goal that you're working towards. Whereas Before the Storm, you don't really have a goal, per se.
The goal is to fall in love, in my opinion.
I feel like in Before the Storm, the entire purpose of the game is really just to show you the story, like a love story of these two characters. And that's why I feel like I've seen thoughts from other people who felt like the game just didn't really have, like, quote unquote, a purpose.
I feel like the game had a purpose in that the crow wanted Chloe to fall in love. The raven wanted Chloe to fall in love with Rachel, because if Chloe never fell in love with Rachel, none of the stopping of the child abuse would never happen. Like, Chloe needed to fall in love with Rachel in order to have the drive to figure out what's happening to these girls, because if nobody else did it, no one was going to stop it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really, like, roundabout way to get to that goal, though, because, like, I mean, if that is the goal...
That's my romantic way of looking at it.
Yeah. It just, because, like, from the time that Rachel disappears to the time that they actually end up stopping everything, it's, like, what, a year? 2 years?
When Rachel disappears, it's a few months.
It's only a few months?
Yeah.
From when she disappears to when they find her body?
Yeah.
I thought it was a year.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
It's only a few months.
Oh.
And then one of the things is, like, people are like, remember when Chloe was like, oh, and her parents are in denial? I figured it was, this was my interpretation. Her father seems to be very willing to do horrible things to make things that make his life very slightly inconvenient to go away. And since Rachel was becoming a more rebellious and less proud daughter to have, he didn't really care that she was gone. He was just glad that she was out of his hair.
Yeah.
Because, he didn't really love anybody if he's willing to just, like, pay someone to... Some people say, oh, they were just trying to get her hooked back on heroin, and other people are like, he was trying to kill her. Either way,
it's still really fucked up.
It's really fucked up. Yeah. And it kind of tells me, like, if he's willing to do that to somebody he claimed to have loved, then I don't think he would care that much if Rachel disappeared after she becomes kind of like a rebellious teenager.
Wait, doesn't the original game take place in 2014?
2015. 2013. It takes place in 2013.
Oh. That doesn't make any sense. When?
She's only been missing for a few months.
Do you remember what month it takes place in?
It takes place in September-ish.
Oh, so
No, October. It takes place in October.
Okay, so 6 months.
She's been gone for 6 months, yeah.
Yep. Because she disappears on Monday, April 22nd, 2013.
So she's only been gone for a few months.
6 months.
So it's kind of like...
So it basically, it's a midpoint. It's like 6 months.
Yeah. But I just really think that Rachel's father, the reason why they weren't really looking for her is because, A, Rachel's mother, as in the one who raised her, is submissive to Mr. Amber. And Mr. Amber was just happy that this child who was becoming an embarrassment was gone.
Yeah.
Because if he's willing to just fucking shoot up the woman that he claimed to used to love just to make her go away.
Well, here's what I don't understand is that he seemed so intent, but the whole reason that he quote unquote does that is to protect Rachel.
No, he was protecting the idea of Rachel.
Well, no, I know that, but like, so then he just suddenly stops caring?
I think that once Rachel becomes somebody that he can't control and also somebody he can't be, I wouldn't want to say the word proud, I guess somebody he can brag about, he just wants her to be gone because it's not part of his like perfect ideal anymore.
I mean, that doesn't really line up with the ending of Before the Storm, though, because there is the option at the end to not tell Rachel about what happened.
But she still turns into like a rebellious teenager.
Yeah,
like, canonically.
Yeah, but just because teens are rebellious doesn't mean that their parents are like, well, I'm glad they're dead.
Well, I'm not saying parents in general. I'm talking about Mr. Anderson. Mr.
Anderson.
Mr. Amber specifically, because he seems like he might be a person who doesn't really care about other people. He only cares about having control over them. So if she became somebody that he couldn't be like, look at my perfect daughter, and then she just disappeared, he'd be like, great, now she's not my problem anymore.
I feel like obviously there's some time between like the ending of Before the Storm and when Rachel goes missing. So in the span of that time, it would be interesting to know, because like I feel like that is what would show what Mr. Amber was thinking when she disappeared, you know?
Yeah.
Because like even at the end of Before the Storm, like I don't think he's quite there yet where because it's like she literally rebels over the course of like 2 days.
Yeah, I just think in terms of like how I see him, he likes having control over a perfect family. And if something is threatening that perfect image that he likes to have, he'll do anything to make it go away without any qualms. So I don't think he actually really cares about anybody, really, because it just really told a lot to me that he was willing to let a very dangerous man go free just to make his ex-wife disappear, or assumed wife just disappear, by giving her either an OD or making her addicted to heroin. Like, that's really messed up and crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're willing to do that, that tells me, in my opinion, that he's not the type of man who actually genuinely cares. He just wants problems that make him not look cool to just disappear.
Yeah, I think it would be hard for Rachel to reach that level so fast. Because before Chloe meets her, Rachel's like a 4.0 GPA student, like perfect student. We only meet her over the course of like a couple of days.
Yeah, but that's in 2010. It takes 3 years for her to disappear.
Yeah.
And then by that time, I'm sure he's just like, bye.
Which is why I said it would be interesting to see over the course of that period of time what happens to make him change his mind.
Yeah.
Because we don't see that. Like I feel like that's a really good theory for like what happens in that span of time.
Yeah.
But we don't really know that. It's also like, I don't know, like I feel like, I mean, I guess I just think of like there's plenty of teenagers who get rebellious and like do stuff way worse than Rachel, and like even though their parents can be shitty, like they still care about them more than that.
I just don't think Mr. Amber would. I think Mrs. Amber would. I think Mrs. Amber would
But
probably...
Chloe says that her parents both were like, whatever.
Yeah, but Mrs. Amber is also submissive to Mr. Amber. So if Mr. Amber was like, blah, 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 she'd be like, okay, whatever.
I wonder, what did she actually... She says... didn't she say that they were in denial?
Yeah, they're in denial. They think she ran away to L.A.
I feel like that's different than not caring.
I don't know. I feel like if Mr. Amber cared, he wouldn't have been in denial. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So what
I understand what you're saying, but I feel like it's a pretty harsh judgment to say if somebody's in denial, then they don't care.
I just don't like Mr. Amber, and I think that he's probably a genuinely bad person on the inside.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's a bad person.
I think he's a bad person, and that probably explains a lot of things. Also, I think a lot of people, I've seen some comments being like, oh, Rachel died just like her mother on an overdose. And I'm like, Rachel was kidnapped and then overdosed on accident by someone else shoving drugs into her body.
Like her mom?
True, but like, I mean, come on, guys.
But also, there's some disagreement about whether Sarah is dead.
No, she's not dead. I was wrong. Because they show. Did people tell you about one of the rare endings?
Yes.
Where you see her?
Yeah, but does that mean that? So that means that she's alive regardless of the ending?
I think so. I think she's alive.
I thought that was in place of. Oh, maybe or maybe not. I don't know. Some people were asking if we were gonna like play through again to like get that ending, but I don't.
No, our rarest decisions is the one that's gonna let us get that ending.
Oh, but we would have to replay episode 2.
No, we have.
Oh, because we did the bracelet.
Yeah, we did the bracelet, so we get to see it. Yeah, on our rare decisions one, we took the bracelet. Remember? So if we give the bracelet to the mom, Rachel and the mom meet each other.
Aren't there a couple other things that you have to do, though?
I don't know. We'll see. But I thought that's a cool little Easter egg.
Really? I thought that was horrible.
Why?
Because, like, that means that, okay, so obviously, like, the writers didn't mean to do this on purpose, but that means that, like, anybody who wants to see the gay relationship gets locked out of the good ending.
Is that what... It doesn't mean it has to be the good ending. It just means it's one of the good endings.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it, at least. But
I feel like hiding it behind... Okay, so I understand, like, narratively, it's, like, a cool thing, and I like that it exists as an Easter egg, but I also feel like for anybody who wants to see, like, a lesbian relationship in a video game and is so excited about that, they're going to choose the kiss, and therefore they miss the opportunity to let Rachel meet her mother without knowing that that's, like, a possible...
That's true.
Consequence.
That's true.
Which, that didn't really occur to me until somebody else asked it as a question. They were like, hey, like, do you think it's kind of, like, weird that they would, like, essentially, like, make the gay relationship disqualify you from letting Rachel meet her mom?
Does it disqualify? Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. And, like, I don't think that it's necessarily, like... I definitely don't think that was, like, the writer's intention to, like, send that message that, like, oh, like, you get your gay relationship, but, no.
You know what? Next time there needs to be, like, a group of extremely sensitive lesbians to be, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sensitivity readers.
Sensitivity readers, where they're, like, just very sensitive lesbians.
Do you guys,
just a bunch of very sensitive lesbians. And they can be just aware of every single tiny little thing, and then it'll be safe.
They actually do that with books. That's what a sensitivity reader is. So a sensitivity reader is, like, and it doesn't have to be somebody who's quote-unquote sensitive. It just means,
I didn't mean to say it like that. I was being serious. I was making a legitimate,
No. And I'm explaining to them what a sensitivity reader is. So it means, like, if I were to write a book about being a doctor, but I'm not a doctor, I would have a doctor read my book to give me notes to make it people do it all the time with like books that talk about engineering or like, you know, science stuff. They have like a scientist or an engineer read the book to make sure.
Yeah, we
the
need
stuff
a
makes
lesbian
sense.
specialist.
They do that with and they do that more with like marginalized groups too. So
Well,
like,
yeah, that's what I think. That would be a good idea because, like, that way, all these like unintentional, like, you know, little things that feel invalidating.
Like, oh hey, like you're referencing this trope here, and I don't think that you mean to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that might be a good idea because then, you know, eventually one day we'll have a game of lesbians that insults no lesbians. One day there will be a game where no lesbians feel slighted.
And you know, you see people talking about that all the time with like books that have like trans characters. Mm-hmm. Like if people want to it's, and like with TV shows they do it too. Like they'll have somebody come in and they'll like take a look at the script to just be like, hey, so we're trying to be like inclusive by adding this type of character to our book or mm-hmm. our movie or whatever, but none of us is from that group, so you invite somebody in and have them take a look just to, like, you know, you don't have to take any of the advice that they offer, but it's always good to get outside perspective
just
on your work.
Just so you're aware.
So you're aware that, like, maybe if you're implying things that you don't mean to.
I still say the best representation of a trans person in media is the Bone Dolls twin, where a princess is magically trans. She's magically trans. They go through all this stuff. They talk about it. It's not the main issue of the book. It's just, she's just that way. Mm-hmm. She's just magically trans. And it's awesome. Because she grows up inside of a boy's body, but she's a girl. She talks, and she's like, has girl feelings. You know? Yeah. And then later, she eventually has to become a girl again. She has weird feelings about it. I could be wrong, but it's never, like, insulting. Because the person who wrote it was like, yeah, I wanted to write a book about somebody who's trans, but not be a dick about it. Mm-hmm. So the main character is magically trans princess, who's also a warrior queen. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Which episode was your favorite?
I would say... I don't know. If there could be a supercut of all the times they cuddle, mm-hmm. that would be my favorite.
So those would be your favorite parts then?
I don't know. It's nice. I guess I would say episode 1. No, episode 2, because you get the kiss before everything goes to shit.
I feel like I really liked episode 1 because it reminded me so much of the feelings of, like, meeting somebody and, like, falling in love. Yeah. Like, when you first meet somebody and you have that, like, nervous, like, giddy feeling. Yeah. Like, when they're, like, sitting on the train mm-hmm. and they're listening to music and stuff.
Nice Rachel we're having.
And just... And like, when she sees her in, like, in the theater room and, like, she's being all awkward, that's like those like little awkward moments, like, before they get more comfortable with each other.
I just want to be clear, the reason why I'm more open to them jumping into a relationship and before the storm is because there's no baggage beforehand. Because there's no, like, dead, like, missing girlfriend that we're looking for, anything. You know, there's none of that. It's just two chicks, they meet each other and they're like, yup, feeling gay.
It was interesting to me that so many people were like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but, like, I saw some people being really, like, I don't know, skeptical of, like, oh, they just met, like, and we're gonna, like, encourage them to be romantic with each other. And I was like, have you never, like, been young and met somebody and just thought they were really cool, like, and, like, I don't know.
I think it's because they're younger and a lot of people feel uncomfortable with younger queer girls or younger queer boys. Yeah. And because for some reason they think that, like, I don't know. You see adults like looking at babies like, oh, that baby has a crush on that other baby. And it's like opposite gender babies. But if like two 12-year-olds of the same gender end up liking each other, it's like, whoa, they don't know that yet. And
I mean,
like,
it's weird because like as an adult, like not all people, but like it's not uncommon for people to like have sex on the first date.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, however you feel about that or not, I'm just saying it's not uncommon. And so like for two people to meet each other and just like each other, that's not that weird.
I feel like people are more accepting of the fact that teenagers have heterosexual sexual feelings than teenagers having homosexual sexual feelings. And it's just like, that's a thing that happens. Teenagers, they have sex with each other. And sometimes teenagers are gay and they still want to fuck. And I'm not saying, like, I want to be a part of that. I'm saying they have those feelings and then they want to do it together with each other. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with it. Just to be clear, I'm just saying that, you know, young sexuality exists and it's normal for a teenage girl and a teenage boy to have sex. It's normal for a teenage girl and another teenage girl to have sex. It's normal. It's a part of growing up. If anything...
And if you're not, that's fine.
I'd be so happy if I had a lesbian teenage daughter. I'd be like, fuck. Yes! There's nothing to worry about now.
That's not true.
Okay, that's right. It's true. It's not,
not true.
It's not true. Yes, it's true.
Who was your favorite character?
Okay, I don't want people to mix this up as in my favorite person.
Uh-oh. Or you mean like the way I mean it, like character as they're written as a character, not like person in real life?
Yeah. Okay, just to be clear, if I met Elliot in real life, I'd fucking punch him in the fucking neck. But what I'm saying is, I really appreciated
that they included
him as a character because so many people were like, oh, where's this coming from? Like, it's out of nowhere. I was like, yeah, that's how it happens. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because even I was like, oh, I don't want to judge this kid, you know?
Well, and it's like also, remember we were kind of like, oh, like, we want to like let him down easy because he's really nice and blah, blah, blah. And then he just gets...
But even then, we were still very clearly like, hey, not interested, Elliot. Like, back off. But
that's the thing is that like a lot of people, they either don't feel like they have the opportunity or like they don't feel comfortable like setting a really firm like so they try to just be like, hey, yeah, I'm not interested, blah blah blah, and people just like don't some people just don't listen to that.
I just thought it was really important that they put that in there because, you know, abusive relationships happen out of nowhere. And a lot of people, like, they think, like, it's so definitive. Like,
there's, like, a definitive moment. And
there's, like, this definitive moment.
Coming.
Yeah, and, like, and if it happens to you, you feel so stupid. You don't want to talk to anyone because you think people are going to be like, oh, well, why were you so fucking stupid to get into that situation?
Well,
and blah, blah, blah.
Well, because it's like people assume that it's going to be really obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
But the thing is...
Or that, like, or that it's like some sort of video game where it's like there are right and wrong things to say in order to like shut the situation down.
Yeah.
But with a lot of abusive situations, there is no winning.
Yeah, because he's already decided. It has nothing to do with you. If you end up in a situation like that, male or female, and I just want people to know that if you're a woman and you only date other women, I want you to know that this can happen too, and don't let people say that, like, women can't be abusive, because that's a whole nother hole that you can get into.
Yeah.
You know? But I just want people to know that, like, if that happens to you, it's not your fault. It's the other person's, like, whole crazy thing. Like, you didn't do anything to, like, earn that. Like, they decided that they were going to be a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
It's their problem. Like, it's like a perfect way. So I just thought it was really great they included that because Chloe didn't do anything, and even if she did, to like incite this,
no,
and it happened
they're not
anyway.
even like really super dating.
They weren't dating at all. And like,
were they not dating at all, or were they just not in like a serious relationship? Because
she just hung out with him a few times and had sex with him, and then she's kind of stopped hanging out with him.
Yeah, I guess I meant like it's not like they have literally no connection. Like there is a connection there, but it's not. It's not like they were dating for like a year and then she broke things off and just ghosted him.
Yeah, and then what I really found was interesting was that he targeted her because she was alone. And like, I just thought, this is important for young people to see and be like, this happens. It's okay that it happened. It's not your fault. And it's just them being fucking weird, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault. And like, I like that Chloe called 911 to try and get herself out of the situation and that it was okay. And all this stuff. And I just thought it was I like the character for what it explained.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's really hard thing to explain. It's kind of like when I watched Jessica Jones season 1 where Jessica was like told this girl like, listen, it's not your fault. And I was like, Jessica,
it's not her fault.
It's not her fault because Jessica, this woman with literal superpowers, was a victim of domestic abuse too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sometimes like you just need to hear like, no matter how emotionally or physically strong you are, you can get manipulated into the situation and it's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Chloe,
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really good thing to add. And no, I don't think Warren's the same way. Warren was a supportive friend, and when he was rejected, he just kind of acted a little like mopey and then got over it.
I mean, I think here's the thing. Nobody likes being rejected, and I think it's normal to be a little like for a character to seem bummed out if they get rejected. Like that's normal. What's not normal
is kidnapping someone.
Is like kidnapping somebody or like yelling or screaming at them, or it's like if you
and pushing them
or like if you're in a situation where you're rejected and you feel like you don't know how to handle it, just walk away.
And I want people who are like, oh, he pushed her, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal because when you hit someone or push someone or touch them physically out of anger, it's not about leaving bruises. It's about violating the trust you have with that person and violating the like safety agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And because a push, it starts with pushing.
Well, because they don't know what the fuck you're gonna do after that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if a stranger walks up to you on the street and starts like, so I've been assaulted on the street before, mm-hmm. and like somebody like grabbed onto me, and it's like when somebody does that, even though it's like this person didn't like actually like physically like hurt me or leave a bruise or break a bone, it's like I don't know where their head is at. Like if Elliot is willing to push Chloe or like yell at her, all of a sudden she's thinking to herself like, what's he gonna do next? Like if I try to like react, or if I do this, like where's his line,
Yeah, and like male or female, if somebody pushes you, that's how it starts. It goes little by little, like pushing, shoving, pushing you into a wall, hitting you, slapping you. It like gradually grows. So just let you know, it's not it's not okay for you as a person to push someone out of anger. If you're playing around and wrestling, that's fine and you're laughing. But if you do anything out of anger, be it like a light punch, like push like that, like I'm pushing.
I punch you out of anger all the time.
No, you don't. Shut up. Don't tell people that because you don't. You've never hit me.
No.
But if somebody like does anything physical to you and they're doing it out of anger, that is not okay. And you should do that. You should hold that boundary for yourself as well. You should never touch someone out of anger. It's not okay. Because once you break that like seal, it's gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. So don't.
I think my favorite character was Rachel, because when we went going into Before the Storm, like before the game was even announced, when they just said it was a prequel and that it was going to be like Rachel's story, I remember being disappointed because I was like, I don't really want to see this like sad story. I don't want to, and you know, this is like a character that has been like kind of like built up in your mind a little bit, and I thought it was really impressive that they managed to write a character that to me lived up to my expectations of somebody that Chloe would fall in love with and be attracted to, because it's like you spend the whole original Life is Strange game being like, oh, like Rachel, like she's this like, you know, character that like Chloe talks about, and you're like, wow, she must be like really awesome, you know, if Chloe is like so upset still about her being gone, and if Chloe like was, you know, best friends with her for such a long time. And I think that the fact that they managed to make a character that kind of like lived up to the name, in my opinion, I thought was impressive.
What really pissed me off about, not about Rachel, but people's reaction to her, was people trying to find reasons as to why she deserved to have the things done to her.
That was really messed up.
That was so fucking disgusting. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how depraved some people were, being like, oh, well, she knew what she was doing with Frank. And I was like, Frank is a 35-year-old drug dealer who gives away rape drugs. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. And, like, all I can think of when people say shit like this is like, you're a fucking pedophile, aren't you? You're trying to fuck a 16-year-old. I can feel it. You're disgusting. And it's like, oh, and then she seduced Mr. Jefferson. I was like, Mr. Jefferson is like 1,000,000 years old. They're both adults.
First of all, and if an adult cannot resist a teenager, regardless of what the teenager is doing, they're a pedophile.
They're a fucking pedophile. And I don't care about these motherfuckers. Actually, the real world is a pedophile. Right. I'm like, shut the fuck up. They're a child. You're disgusting. Because
the thing is that also, like, an adult should never allow themselves to be in a situation where something like
I can't believe.
Just, can you let me finish?
Sorry.
So if an adult is in a situation where, like, they think a teenager is, like, coming on to them or flirting with them or, like, trying to initiate, like, a sexual relationship, that's the time when an adult should, remove themselves from the situation.
Shut it down.
That you don't, like, be like, oh, like, I couldn't help myself. No, you can help yourself. You get away from them. It's the same, not the same thing, but, like, it's similar to, like, if, you know, if you're hanging out with, like, a friend's significant other and they start hitting on you, you remove yourself from the situation. You don't respond in kind and then be like, oh, well, they seduced me. No, like, you remove yourself.
It's like that. That's not even as bad because your friend's boyfriend or whatever, they're fucking an adult.
No.
They're an adult.
It's not. That's why I said it's not the same thing.
I know.
But I'm just saying, like, you remove yourself from the situation. You're not, like, if you're an adult, you're not, like, a helpless victim in this situation.
It's not like your boner is, like, controlling you.
Well, it has nothing to do with boners.
Well, I was just saying boner, vagina, sexual, like, just be with an adult. It's not that hard to get laid.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Just go out there and say, hey, you want to bang? And that's it. You don't need...
Okay. We've already talked about this a lot on the Let's Play. And on all the streams.
I just cannot believe we live in a society where people still think it's totally chill to fuck kids. And I just want to punch them all in their stupid, disgusting pedophile face.
Another thing I feel like that's really important to point out is that, like, when we would have discussions about this, people would inevitably come down to, like, oh, well, how old was she exactly?
Who fucking cares?
When that's really not the point. Like, whether somebody is quote-unquote legal age, there's, like, even if she was 18, like, the age difference between, like, Mr. Jefferson, who's in his what, late 30s or 40 or early 40s?
Late 30s.
Late 30s to somebody who's 18, that's a difference of 20 years. He's literally twice her age.
And he's literally her teacher.
Yeah.
And he holds all this power over her.
So it really doesn't matter. Like, it's not like there's this, like, magical change between somebody who's 16 and 18, like, that they suddenly become, like, an adult who's capable of, like, having adult relationships with people who are twice their age. Like, that's not... Just because something is technically legal doesn't mean that it's a good idea or, like, ethically okay. You know what I mean? Like, the law is, like, the basic... it's, like, the bare minimum for you to, like, not get arrested.
And it's, like...
You know what I mean?
It's on the adult to be the adult. It's not, like, if a child comes up to you and says, hey, can I play with these firecrackers? You say, no. Yeah. You cannot play with the firecrackers. Give me the firecrackers. Yeah. You can't be like, oh, Judge, well, they had the firecrackers and, you know.
Well, they seem to know what they were doing.
They seem to know what they were doing. A lot of the time, I remember being a teenager and having, like, 14 years old and stuff and having, like, adult men, like, hit on me. And then me being uncomfortable, but also, like, trying it on because I was 14 and I, like, didn't really get it yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I have this, I guess, power over men, but also I'm 14, so it's, like, kind of grossing me out, but I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So it's on the adult men to be like, oh, you're 14. And you know what? Like, most of the time I'd be like, I'm 14. They'd be like, oh, shit, sorry. And they'd back off, which is the normal human thing to do.
All right, so what was your least favorite part?
My least favorite part? I guess in terms of writing or just a horrible emotional turmoil.
However you want to take that.
I
think that I
think a lot of the frustrating parts came from trying to interact with David because he was being so aggro about things in a way that, like, yeah, I get it. He's a person who is trying to relate to somebody that he feels like he understands, but he's being too aggressive and blah, blah, blah. And just the whole dynamic with David and Joyce and Chloe, because it's a situation where they're not letting Chloe breathe, I feel.
I feel like the David situations were tiring for me more in the sense that, like, whenever we would have a David, like, interaction or situation, I felt like I would just have to, like, explain why people should, like, why his actions were maybe not the best or, like, wrong, but to still have empathy for him. And I found that really frustrating because, like, and that has nothing to do with the writers. That's more to do with, like, the fandom, I guess. I just get really annoyed. I get really annoyed when...
It's just hard because it's like he's an asshole, but he's not evil. Does that make sense?
But I feel like sometimes people can be so quick to be like, oh, this character isn't, like, perfectly good, so they're evil. You know, like, it's like black, they're black or they're white. They're either, like, perfectly good or they're perfectly evil. And, like, it's okay to have empathy for a character that is not, like, perfectly good.
That's kind of like me and Nathan, where I'm like, yeah, he's like a piece of shit, and I would never hang out with him. But I feel bad for him, and I think that he needs, like, real psychological help from a team of doctors. And when I say don't hang out with him, I'm just trying to say, hey, all you girls out there who kind of get crushes on broken boys, like, it is not your responsibility. He needs to go to a residential treatment center or whatever to get those issues solved. And I feel bad for him, and if I could, I would take him to a doctor. But I would definitely not be his girlfriend. Yeah. Like, I hate him, but I also want him to get the help that he needs. Like, that, it's that kind of thing. Like, I know that he's not evil, but I would not put myself in his way.
Yeah. I feel like with David, it's that Joyce has some culpability in enabling him to stay in that situation because she is an adult and her responsibility is to take care of Chloe. And I feel like at some point she should have stepped in and been like, hey, you need to work on yourself before you move in. You know? Like, you need to address some of these things that are, preventing you from being, like, a great stepdad.
Your anger issues.
Yeah, like, he certainly has the capability to be a really great person, but being a good person for a lot of people means that you have to, like, work on yourself. Like, we all have flaws. Some are worse than others, and some are more dangerous to other people than others. But it's, like, you have to take the time to, like, address your own flaws and work on yourself, you know? For some people, it's not just like, oh, I grow up and I'm a good person, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, most people have something about them that you could do to be better at, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you're a person who isn't good at listening. Maybe you're a person who yells when they get angry. Maybe you're a person who isn't very considerate of other people, or, like, whatever it is. Like, those are all things that, like, you could work on to be a better friend or, like, family member or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Now on to some viewer questions. What did you think of the after credits scene?
I'm pretending it didn't exist.
I really liked it up until the very end of it.
I'm just going to pretend it didn't exist. I know everyone keeps being like, what's your reaction? I'm like, I have no reaction because it didn't happen.
It's like, it's always so weird when people are like, I feel like a lot of times people will be like, what's your reaction to this? Like, what do you think about this? And, like, usually it's just about things that are, like, have the same answer. It's awful.
It's terrible.
It's terrible?
It's a real heart-wrencher, which is why I am pretending that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that our actions caused a separate timeline. I know that's not actually true and all this stuff, but sometimes I just wanted Before the Storm to just let us know who Rachel was so that we could understand and appreciate the life of a victim. Mm-hmm. Because I felt like the point of Before the Storm was just to know that this was a whole person. This was a person who had great character flaws, but also a lot of ability to change people's lives and
like
make people
hopes, dreams, all that stuff.
She had hopes, she had dreams, she had desires, she loved people, she had flaws, sometimes she was manipulative. She was a person, and she died, and for that reason we should be all the more angry at Mr. Jefferson and a little bit at Nathan, because she was a real person. Not a perfect person, a real person. And that was the story of Before the Storm, to find out that why she was so important and why it hurts so much to have her die. Mm-hmm. And that was what was important. And a lot of people, I feel like, and I guess, you can play games and interpret stories any way you want, but to me, I felt people were trying to see Before the Storm as, this is why Rachel was evil. And it's like, no, man, she died. She died a horrible, painful, humiliating death. And this is the reason. And this is your chance to learn of her beyond her death, to know that she was somebody else and that she had so much potential to be such a huge person. And she never got to have that because she was murdered. Mm-hmm. So was my feeling of like, this is special because you get to see what an amazing person she was in reality, not like some perfect reflection or memory, like the real person that she was.
Oh, like there were times that she got angry and yelled at her parents. There were times that she skipped school. Like there were times that she misbehaved. But regardless, that doesn't make her a bad person.
Yeah, and also, but she at the same time,
makes her like a victim worthy of sympathy.
She gave Chloe something that she hadn't had in so long. She gave Chloe hope in her life. She gave Chloe love in a way that she didn't feel like she was getting from anyone else. She finally felt like she had somebody on her side and she felt safe. And that was important to Chloe because, as you can remember in season 1, Chloe was obsessed with Max being her superhero. Because I know that Chloe seems like such a strong person, but at the end of the day, you can tell that all she wants is for somebody to make her feel safe and loved.
Well, somebody can be a really strong person, but like at the point of the original game, she had her childhood friend disappear on her, and then Rachel also disappear, and then like 6 months later Max shows up and she's kind of just like, come back to me.
Yeah,
you know?
She's traumatized, and she's kind of in the same place where she feels so alone. And Rachel, in her own way, in her own flawed way, gave Chloe a sense of safety that nobody else was giving her. And so I think that was important, and it's special, and it's beautiful. And just because, Rachel fucks up later and gets... She didn't... I understand that people are mad at her for cheating on Chloe with Frank. But you have to understand that Frank is also 35 or something and way older. And honestly, I really think that Rachel was the victim of that situation.
Also, we don't know the exact story behind what happened there. It's unclear to me exactly what the nature of their relationship was. So yeah. And I'm not saying that that means that we shouldn't judge Frank or anything. I just mean that I would prefer to know more details.
Listen, I get it. Frank saved Chloe, but that doesn't make him not a seller of rape drugs.
Yeah. Just
letting you guys know, he sold rape drugs knowingly to Nathan Prescott.
Yeah.
He knew he was doing it.
And also, do you remember when people were like, oh, but you can use those for other stuff? I was like, no, you literally only use them to knock people out.
I know.
You don't use them to get
There's
high.
always some fucking asshole being like, listen, I know about drugs. I want to tell you something. If anyone knows about drugs, it's Stacy, okay? Stacy knows about drugs, okay? She fucking knows. Nobody gets rape drugs to get high, you fucking morons. Stop pretending you're all hard and shit, okay? You're not hard. Those are rape drugs. They use them to rape you, okay?
Yeah.
The end. Frank's probably a rapist too. You don't know. Maybe he fucking drugged Rachel. Fuck.
So. Oh.
And then seeing Frank look at Rachel before the storm, those weird, disgusting pedophile looks. I wanted to punch him in his stupid, disgusting pedophile throat. Gross.
Moving on. If Deck 9 were to develop another Life is Strange prequel...
Excuse me.
So, Deck 9 has previously talked about... They didn't say that they were going to develop another prequel, but they have expressed interest in, delving into the world more. If it was, so if they were to develop another Life is Strange prequel, how would you feel if the prequel revolved around Nathan? Is that something you would like to see, since we spend very little time with him in both games? If so, what would you want to see or not want to see?
I don't want to see that, man.
No, I don't either.
It's gonna fuck me up.
Because that's even more sad than Rachel.
Because he's fucking... I don't know if it's more sad than Rachel, but... I don't want to watch a kid become a killer.
No. Here's the thing. Because Rachel dies a victim. Nathan murders somebody.
And then he gets murdered.
What would I want to see...
Sorry.
What would I want to see less? Do I want to see somebody who's Rachel, pretty good person, but sad things happen to her? Or do I want to see somebody who, gets so...
fucked up.
Gets so messed up, and just manipulated and shit on as because the only...
Until he becomes a killer.
Is that... Would I want to see that? Absolutely not.
And then he gets murdered.
He gets murdered?
Nathan gets murdered by Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson killed Nathan.
Oh.
He leaves a voicemail saying, he's coming after me now.
I didn't think that was Yeah, but he says that... Do we ever have confirmation that happens? Is it Nathan at the funeral?
No, Nathan's dead. He fucking died.
Oh.
He got killed by Mr. Jefferson. And Mr. Jefferson took his phone and pretended to be Nathan.
God.
He's fucking dead.
Oh, yeah. He does die.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't... What is up with you people and wanting to watch horrible stories? I thought you wanted to watch happy gay shit. I don't know. Everyone's like, I just want a happy gay story. Can we watch the prequel where Rachel dies? And I'm like, wait, those are two different things, guys. Those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, maybe we can watch, like, I don't know, 90s shit of something.
90s shit?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
For a split second, I was like, yeah, we should watch Rachel's mom. And I was like, never mind, that's fucking stupid.
Oh, wait. Doesn't, hold on.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for, because it says determinant, which means that it's not, that's not, oh, he appears in Max's Nightmare.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Life is Strange Before the Storm. Spoilercast.
Whoa. We still got, like, more stuff.
Oh, okay.
To talk about. You're not in charge, remember?
Okay.
Do you feel satisfied now that you've finished the game, or were there any more things that you would have wanted to see?
I didn't want to see any of it. But you guys all were like, we got to see Rachel. And I'm like, why do you want to watch Chloe fall in love with another woman and then watch her die? And then you guys made me watch it. It's your fault. You put me through this. I didn't want to see any of it. And then I saw it.
Do you still feel that way having played it? That you would?
Oh no, I'm glad I saw her pain.
Okay, so that the first part doesn't really answer the question, because the question is like, are you satisfied with the ending type thing, or were there other things that you would have wanted to see in the game?
Now that I know that there's an ending where Rachel can see her mom, I'm pretty happy. I got everything.
I wonder what it's like when she meets her mom. I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched either. I'm saving myself for our least popular decisions.
We should probably take a look at. They have videos of like the different things that you have to do in order to make it happen.
Okay.
But we don't have to watch the actual ending. But like I think there are other decisions that affect whether or not they meet. I don't know that it's just the bracelet.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. What's your overall opinion on how well Before the Storm ties into Life is Strange Season 1? And what are your opinion, on how well it ties into, how well they tie into each other?
They tie in pretty well. I feel like there's no inconsistencies.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they did a really good job, like, honoring some of the smaller things that, you know... that, like, I just felt like while I was playing it, there would be, like, little things that would happen, and it'd be like, oh, that ties into, like, you know, Life is Strange, the original game. So, I mean, I felt like that was pretty cool. So I think that's all the questions that we have. Did you have any other final thoughts before we wrap up?
Somebody sent me a message being like, they cut a bunch of gay content, and people are mad. I don't know. I just wanted to validate that sometimes, you know, when people are frustrated, they just want to hear somebody in a podcast say, I validate that you feel angry. So, just saying, hey, I see that made you mad. So, and I validate that you're angry. Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to just see if I can find anything about it really quick.
I just, you know, sometimes I like, and I can see why some people feel unfulfilled by the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, the gay couple didn't get a happy ending, and I just want to validate that that sucks.
I wonder where they,
I don't know. That's what people said, and I just want to validate that sucks. I hope one day we can have...
Well, but do you know that that's true?
I don't know. I'm just validating feelings here, man.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not going to, like, stir up some rumors if that's not true.
There's a No, they told me some shit that I was like, I don't think that's true. But I just want people to know that if they read the rumor and they feel mad, I know, I see it. I acknowledge that you are upset.
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that it sucks that you are upset and that I'm acknowledging you. And you're very upset about not getting... One day there will be a video game where the gay couple is happy and not dead.
This is not that game.
This is not that game. Dragon Age Inquisition, you can marry Sarah and it ends happily and neither of you die.
And Josie.
Oh, you can marry Josie, but you can fuck Sarah. She goes down on you with her mouth. And like there's boobs, there's 4 boobs.
4 boobs.
You see 4 boobs. 2 of the boobs are your boobs.
4 boob.
And then 2 of the boobs are her boobs. And if you play Kanara, you get to have the tallness difference.
The ridiculous height disparity.
Yeah, the ridiculous height disparity. So you get full on naked lesbian fucking. And Sarah is not bisexual. She is fully into women. And then she asks to marry you, and you have a wedding, and there's wedding bells, and she says, that's for us. So if you want a game where you can play a game, but also be super fucking lesbian, and get married to your lesbian girlfriend, and she asks you to marry her, you play Dragon Age Inquisition, romance Sarah, play as a Canary. You did it. Okay? Just letting you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gay. That's your gay happy ending. I know 1 is not enough, but I'm just letting you know that that's an option.
I think that there are other, like, happy lesbian games that we haven't played, too.
I'm just saying, that's the one that gives it all. 4 boobs, and they're naked, and she eats your pussy.
4 boob.
4 boobs. Your boobs and her boobs. Okay? It's very gay.
Go play the lesbian route of Cute Demon Crashers.
Oh, yeah. The lesbian route of Cute Demon Crashers. Yeah.
All right. As always, this podcast, thanks to our supporters on Patreon. You can support us there at patreon.com/geekremix. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. In the meantime, if you want to keep up to date on what we're doing, I'm at Geek Remix a lot.
And I'm at Geek Remix.
So, thanks a lot. And
Bye.
we'll see you later.
Remember, Dragon Age Inquisition, Sarah, lesbian.